Welcome to the self-growth through Tehilim at the Midrasha Orot Nejma. Today, we are going to learn Perek Vav. Perek Vav. And we're going to learn today about the 8th dimension. And next week, we'll keep on learning from Perek Vav, but we'll speak about forgiveness. Okay? So the 8th dimension. Anybody would like to read in?
Ouais. You said forgiveness et j'étais en train de faire forgiveness.
Bémet?
Sur la Torah d'Israël. Parce que j'étais en train de. Mais je filmais là.
Yeah. Everybody will know that we're very connected.
I said some words and I said to forgiveness, what you have to do. And you said it's forgiveness.
Ben voilà, Bezrat Hashem.
Yes,
See?
you know, there is no.
It means that you're in the right.
Yesterday, my therapist told me you need to put a sign for everything you have, and for me, it's a sign.
Ine.
Yes.
Voilà. Okay, so let's read Perek Vav in English. Who wants to read? Milen, you want to read in English? You don't have it? There you go, my love.
The melodies on the Shemini, the song of David. 20, Lord, do not rebuke me in your anger, and do not chastise me in your wrath. Be gracious to me, O Lord, because I languish. Heal me, O Lord, because my bones are frightened, and my soul is very frightened, and you, O Lord, alone. Return, O Lord, rescue my soul, save me from the sake of your loving kindness. For there is no memory of you in death, in the grave, who will thank you. I am weary from my study. Every night I sleep my bed, I wake my couch with my tears. My eyes is dim from anger. It has aged because of all my adversaries. Turn away from me, all you workers of iniquity, for the Lord has hearkened to the voice of my weeping. The Lord has hearkened to my supplication. The Lord has accepted my prayer. All my enemies shall be ashamed and very frightened. They shall return and be ashamed in a moment.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we're going to, you can keep it if you want, it's fine. We're going to start by the beginning, because we're going to use that in the future. Lam Natsear, Mizmor le David. Ah non, Lam Natsear, bi. Ah, je vois rien. I can't read. I really have to go check my eyes again. Okay, so Lam Natsear, what does it mean? So this psalm is one of David HaMelech's most passionate psalms, okay? It was written when he was suffering from a very serious illness, and he was in so much pain. The Radak, who is a medieval commentator, says that it also reflects the situation and feeling of Am Israel when they are in exile and in pain. You know that there is like always like a parallel between the life of David HaMelech and the life of Israel as a nation. And when David HaMelech wrote the Psalms, he actually had kind of a nevuah, okay? He had a kind of a nevuah, and those words will be healing words for Israel, for Am Israel. So here, let's first start to understand that word Lam Natseach, okay? So it can be translated in different ways. Here it's translated as to the conductor, right? And many times when you're going to see the translation, La Natseach is to the conductor of what? Of the orchestra. Why? Because we have to remember that those psalms are songs. And this is played and said with music originally. in the Bet HaMikdash, the Levi'im were actually singing and playing music on those songs, right? So it's not only a text. And when you have to write a song, obviously, like you also have to give direction to the chief of the orchestra how to play that song. So Lamnatseach, and then we're going to see Lamnatseach in many different chapters of the Tehilim, right? You know that. But Lamnatseach is to the conductor of the orchestra somehow, okay? But it means something else also. You know,
You're looking for? It's
6. It's very interesting because it has, let's see if it's not, oh, okay, they're preparing the food. I was scared that they were canceling again. Okay, so Lam Natseach is also Le Natseach. What is Nanetzach? What is, when we say now, like it's been a year of war, what do they say Nanetzach? Until victory, right? So Lam Natseach is also to the one who gives us victory when we play this song. And then it says on the Shminit, Hashminit is the 8th. The 8th what? So we have to know that when the Levim were playing instruments and playing and singing those psalms, they were playing a variety of musical instruments. There were different type of harps. You know, when we represent David HaMelech, many times we represent a harp because most of the psalms were sang with harps accompanying the chapter and the song. So he's telling him which harp should you be using for that. So there were different type of harps. You had harps with 6 strings, harps with 7 strings, and harps with 8 strings. And because there is no coincidence, we just learned it in Megillat Esther. So David HaMelech is telling the conductor of the orchestra, hey, MC, you have to know which harp to use. I need you to use the Hashminit, the 8th, with the one with 8 strings, okay? So the Maharal in Tiferet Israel will explain to us what it means. Why the 8 strings? I'm sorry, because I don't have assistant today. Again, they cancel. I know. Okay. Yeah, with pleasure, if you don't mind. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Olivia. Sorry about that. I think you're fine. So, so the Maharal explains to us what those strings represented and the number of strings will represent. So, you know, in the Torah, each number has a very special signification. Number 6, for instance, represents the physical world, right? And the nature with its 6 dimensions: north, south, west, east, up, and down, right? This physical world was created in 6 days. So we usually fulfill our needs from this nature in 6 days of the week.
From what nature?
Sorry?
From what nature?
The nature that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created, nature.
Oh, in nature.
Nature in general, okay? The Teva. 7 represents God's presence in nature. Shabbat. Shabbat is the 7th day. It took 6 days to create this world, which is called nature, right? The 7th day is the day where Hashem showed his presence in nature. He's working with a natural world as if he were working within that box. So basically, number 7 is the expression of HaKadosh Baruch Hu inside of the laws of nature. And this is when we don't see him. For instance, we wake up in the morning, we don't realize that HaKadosh Baruch Hu did a nes, that the neshama came back in the body, right? We just we just go for our days. But a Jew, what does he say in the morning? Moda ani, or modeh ani, right? Thank you, Hashem. I acknowledge that the fact that I was able to open my eyelid this morning is not mikre, is not a coincidence. It's because you placed back my neshama in my body. Remember, we saw that when we learned about Modani. Okay, so basically, what is number 7 is Hashem expressing himself within the box of nature, within the laws of nature. Does it make sense, Olivia? You see what I mean?
I'm trying to understand. He's like limiting his presence.
Exactly.
But why? Because then we don't, or like the average person won't recognize his presence.
Exactly.
So that you work harder to recognize that he's there.
Yeah, he's hiding himself. And his expression in this world is contained. He recreates this world each and every second. So there's nothing that should be taken for granted. The fact that we breathe, the fact that we eat, the fact that we are able to lift a cup.
But then when we see miracles that are above nature.
Exactly. So that's number 8. Number 8 is what? Exactly. But we're not speaking about, we're speaking about the dimension of 8. What is the dimension of 8? 8 is Hashem ruling over the laws of nature, is his expression beyond the physical world, right?
I know what's your code.
Ouais, je te dire.
Oh, because I don't have your face.
16, 10, 40. And that's for me. Thank you so much, Mila. Thank you.
Is it because 8 is like the rabbi said, 8 candles of Hanukkah?
What does it
Brit Mila
represent?
is number
8. So number
Mhm.
8 represents the expression of Akadosh Baruch Hu above, beyond the laws of nature. So yes, Hanukkah was Nes, right? A Nes is not Hashem acting within the laws of nature, is Hashem acting beyond the laws of nature. He's using his powers beyond the laws of nature. For instance, Yetziat Mitzrayim. Quoi?
Why would a Bnei be number 8? Like, why would that be beyond nature?
Because naturally, human being was born with an imperfection. And the fact to connect, to do the act of Brit Mila is beyond nature. It means that I'm deciding to do a contract with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. How are you? Welcome. And thank you for sponsoring today. And that fact to do the Brit Mila is actually beyond nature, because you are transforming the nature of men and connecting, doing an oath, a covenant with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. According to that, you are acting with the power of 8. It's on the 8th day. It's not normal. It's not natural. It's not the expression of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the nature. Becoming part of Am Yisrael is accepting that I am beyond the laws of nature. I am even beyond the laws of mazalot, right? We say, Ein mazal le'Israel. There is no mazal for Israel. What does it mean? It means that even the stars and the mazalot, they don't impact someone from Israel. So when a baby, when parents, because the baby doesn't choose, but when parents decide to do the Brit, they are actually connecting their child to Am Yisrael. And it's on the 8th day, because that's beyond nature. Am Yisrael is beyond nature. And the relationship between Hashem and his children is beyond nature. So that's why it's with number 8. So we don't need that connection physically, because we're connected spiritually with HaKadosh Baruch Hu by the way we were created. Okay? So 8 represents, for instance, now I have an example of a woman Sarah Imenu, who becomes pregnant at 90 years old without mattress. Am Israel's origin is beyond nature. We are the descendant of Sarah Imenu and Avraham Avinu. It's illogical. At 90 years old, a woman cannot become pregnant. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu expressed his strength and himself beyond the laws of nature. Okay? Okay, so 8 represents the relationship between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and us, Am Israel. Okay? The nations of the world, okay, the 70 nations are within the number 7. Okay? They have 7 Noachid laws, and they also relate, and they also have a relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but it is through the laws of nature. It's not beyond, okay? So why is it interesting? It's interesting to understand that David HaMelech is asking the chief of orchestra, right? The MC of the Levi, to use that harp that will represent number 8. And therefore, and we'll see in the future, he will use harps that have 7 strings or 6 strings. Today, in Perek number Vav, number 6, he asks the conductor to use the harp of 8 strings, right? Why? Because it gives a special power to that Perek, the power of 8, the power of the illimited power. By the way, 8, when you turn it horizontally, it represents the infinite, right? So 8 also represents the neshama. Neshama, how do we know? You play with the letters of the neshama and you recreate shmoneh, right? And the neshama is also, why is it represented by number 8? Because the neshama is beyond nature. There is no logic. It is a part of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? Okay, another thing. Okay, it represents the power for us to elevate ourselves, right? That Perek reminds us that Am Israel, we have that power to elevate ourselves beyond nature, which means also that whatever seems impossible humanly, we can still achieve it. It should not be an obstacle to us. In the Pirkei Avot, we learn Ezehu Gibor Hakovesh et Yitro. It means like who is strong, the one who is able to master his desires, his passions, his yetzer, his, comment on dit yetzer in English? Inclination, right? Exactly. So it's so interesting because in this world, people will tell you, "Oh, what do you want from me? I am an angry person. I have anger. I have to deal with anger." So they legitimate their action, right? But they will not get a salary for that, as Rabbi Ben Shetrit told us. Okay, meaning that a Jew should not satisfy himself with who he is. You have this inclination. You still have to work on yourself. It's not logical. It's super difficult. Yes. And that's what you're expected to do. The Torah is a guide to help us master our yetzer, our inclination, our desires, our passion, in order to become above nature, to be that person that is above nature, that is greater, that is closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And all the mitzvot are here for that purpose, to bring us closer to that part of us, inside of us, that we call the divine soul, the neshama. We learned a little bit of that in Awaken the Soul and also in your classes of Chassidut, right? We are here to elevate ourselves. We cannot just legitimate our poor actions or our poor midot. No, this is who we are. Okay, so that's the power of 8. And with that, we're going to end our class on Tehilim today in order to start our inspiring, not lunch, because we're not ready for lunch yet. They canceled the first order, so we're a little bit late. But we have the zechut today and the pleasure to host our friend Olivia. And this class will not be recorded.